Welcome to Concrete Block, your premier source for in-depth analysis and discussion of current events. I'm your host, Walter, and we're glad you're joining us today. As we dive into the latest news from around the world, we'll be exploring a range of topics that are shaping our global landscape. First up, let's take a look at the ongoing situation in the Middle East, where Israel and Palestine continue to navigate a complex and often contentious relationship. Recent developments have seen Israel agree to a potential ceasefire, but the path forward remains uncertain. We'll be examining the implications of this development and what it might mean for the future of the region. Also making headlines is the Dalai Lama's announcement regarding his succession plans. The spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism has confirmed that he will be reincarnated as the next leader of the faith, but with a twist. The next incarnation will be born outside of China. This move is seen as a direct challenge to Beijing's claims of authority over the selection process. We'll be discussing the significance of this decision and its potential impact on the delicate balance of power in the region. In other news, the Latin American trade bloc Mercosur has reached a new free trade agreement with the European Free Trade Association, creating a massive trading area that spans almost 300 million people and over $4.3 trillion in combined GDP. Bite well. This deal has the potential to significantly boost economic cooperation between the two regions, but it still requires parliamentary approval and legal review from member countries. Meanwhile, Iran has suspended its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency, citing concerns over the agency's bias and claims that it shared sensitive information about Tehran's nuclear facilities with Israel. This development has raised eyebrows among experts, who see it as a potential tactic to gain leverage in future nuclear negotiations with the United States. Finally, in a bit of unexpected news, North Korea has opened a brand new beach resort, complete with hotels, restaurants, and water activities. The Wonsan Kalma Coastal Tourist Zone is part of leader Kim Jong-un's efforts to boost the country's economy through tourism, but it remains to be seen whether this venture will be successful given the current restrictions on foreign visitors. We'll be delving deeper into these stories and more throughout the show, providing you with a nuanced and balanced perspective on the events that are shaping our world. So sit back, relax, and join us as we explore the complexities of our global community. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're glad you're still with us as we dive into the world of politics and economics. Today, we're discussing a recent interview with Grover Norquist, the founder and president of Americans for Tax Reform. Norquist has been a key player in shaping the country's tax policies, and his opinions are always worth listening to. According to Norquist, the recent tax bill will set the path to growth, and he believes that the changes made to Medicaid are necessary to ensure the program's sustainability. He argues that requiring able-bodied adults to work in order to receive benefits is a common-sense approach that won't scare off people who are genuinely in need. Norquist also points out that this idea isn't new, citing Bill Clinton's welfare reform efforts in the 1990s as an example of successful policy making. However, not everyone agrees with Norquist's assessment. Critics argue that the changes to Medicaid could have devastating effects on low-income families and individuals who rely on the program for healthcare. They also point out that the tax bill's focus on cutting taxes for corporations and wealthy individuals will only exacerbate income inequality. It's clear that there are valid arguments on both sides of this debate, and as always, we want to present a balanced view here on Concrete Block. While some people may see Norquist's ideas as a necessary step towards fiscal responsibility, others will undoubtedly view them as an attack on the social safety net. As we consider the implications of these policy changes, it's essential to remember that the impact will be felt by real people and families across the country. We need to have a nuanced conversation about the role of government in supporting vulnerable populations and promoting economic growth. That's all for this segment of Concrete Block. We'll continue to follow this story and provide updates as more information becomes available. Stay tuned for our final story of the day, right here on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. Today, we're diving into the complex world of Middle Eastern politics, specifically the recent developments in Israel's conflict with Iran and Gaza. As always, our goal is to provide you with a fair and balanced analysis of the situation. As reported by David E. Rosenberg, Israel's latest war on Iran has not achieved its desired goals, despite claims of success from the Israeli government. The conflict has resulted in significant defense spending, which may become a challenge for the current coalition government to manage. With a ballooning budget and the need to balance military expenses with civilian programs, the government faces tough decisions that could impact its popularity among voters. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is looking to add two major accomplishments to his legacy: winding up the war in Gaza and normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia. However, these goals may not be aligned with the interests of his far-right coalition partners, who are opposed to any gestures towards a Palestinian state or the evacuation of Israeli settlements in Gaza. The opposition in Israel is currently fragmented, with no clear leader emerging to challenge Netanyahu's dominance. Naftali Bennett's new party has shown promise in recent polls, but it remains to be seen whether he can sustain this momentum and become a viable alternative to Netanyahu. As we analyze these developments, it's essential to consider the complexities of Israeli politics and the various interests at play. While some may argue that Netanyahu's strategies are effective, others see them as divisive and counterproductive. Ultimately, the future of Israel's government and its relationships with neighboring countries will depend on the choices made by its leaders and the responses of its citizens. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.